You are now listening to Talk Your Jits podcast.
Make sure I got that up. Make sure I got that up. All right. Camera's a little laggy. Oh well. Welcome back to the Talk Your Jits podcast. This podcast is, as the name implies, all about jiu-jitsu. I'm your host, Lamar Smith, and today's guest is a black belt who trains at Aries BJJ, located in Goodyear, Arizona. Ladies and gentlemen, Jacob Erdman.
Hey, how's it going?
What's going on, brother?
Just getting up, getting done with Christmas, looking for some open mats for the week and everything.
Yes, the grind never stops, right?
That's right. Grind never stops.
All right, man. First and foremost, man, I'd like to extend my thanks, man. I appreciate you taking out some time and doing an episode with me. Greatly appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, man. Without further ado, man, let's get the ball rolling. If you want to formally introduce yourself again, by all means, and let's hear about your jiu-jitsu journey.
Yeah, that sounds great. My name's Jacob Erdman. I'm a black belt out of Aries Goodyear, as he mentioned. I teach the zombie crew, so I'm up nice and early, getting the ball rolling for the day, and then I teach kids class later on. I have two kids that are in jiu-jitsu as well, both girls, 13 and 9. So that's kind of how I actually started really getting into coaching and stuff like that. Because when I first started, I started because I was overweight. I was like 190 pounds. I was 31. I was kind of like, what do I do that's going to make me happy? Because I don't like the gym. I just can't focus on it. I can't do it consistently. And the last time that I did something like that, I was a wrestler back in high school, actually. And so at 31, I was drinking, sitting around playing video games all day, and maybe take my kids to the park, but I wasn't really doing anything with my life. And so I picked that up as a way to start exercising, and it very quickly became a daily thing in my life. I was training 3-4 days a week, pretty much out the gate. I didn't just kind of jump in. I really dove into it. And I had my first competition within 3 months of trying it out. I went out there as a white belt. I beat the first guy, wrestling background and stuff like that. But the second guy, he beat me fairly, and I didn't have an answer for it, because I was a wrestler. I was like, oh man, I'm great. I'm gonna do all these things, and then I got beat. And then I had another match right after that. I got beat by this guy too, and he put me in close guard, and I didn't know what to do. He just racked up advantage after advantage and didn't sub me or anything, but I lost hands down. And then about 3 months later, I did another competition as a white belt. And it was the last competition I did as a white belt. And there was, what was it, the San Francisco Open or something like that. And I had 4 fights at white belt, which is crazy because at black belt, unless you're doing big tournaments, you don't get a lot of people. You get 1, 2 matches. So white belt and blue belts, we're getting matches. So at white belt, I had 4 fights for first place. Got that. I got my blue belt within 8 months. But I was training a lot. And then I got my blue belt and instantly went into competition in that. I went to World Masters actually that year, 2018, I think it was. I took third.
Nice.
Yeah, I took third that year. I beat some guys. I didn't realize how good I was actually doing because I wrestled before. And when you wrestle, if you're in high school and you have something like I had, I competed every weekend as a wrestler back in high school. So I didn't come in with the butterflies that a lot of competitors get when they first start doing competitions. I was fairly seasoned to some degree. And I lost to this guy. He was a judo black belt. And he did the same thing to me that he did to everybody. Came in, threw us, grabbed the armbar, hopped on us, and finished everybody the exact same way. So I took third at that one, and from that point on, I decided I had something to prove to myself. And so I buckled down. I started eating really healthy. At the time I smoked like those vapor things. I quit all of that I quit
Nice.
everything. I was eating well. I had a goal, and my goal was to win a World Masters Division One championship at blue belt that year. And so I went to the grind. You know, it was 2 a days, exercise, running, making sure my weight was on. I competed at least once a month. Um, it was expensive. Nobody really talks about that part about how competitors pay out of their pocket unless they're sponsored. You know, and
Right. Right.
when you're old and a blue belt, you're not. You might get sponsored, but I came in almost 7 years ago, and it was what I like to call the new golden age of jujitsu. Because if you talk like the last decade, jujitsu's blown up.
Mhm.
Everybody knows about jujitsu now, but when I was growing up, it was a backyard thing. Nobody knew what jujitsu was. You know, I
Right.
graduated in early 2000s, and you had a small handful of people that even knew what the word jujitsu was. So when I came in, you know, you had the internet, you had all this stuff at your disposal. I had black belts. I didn't realize that back in the day, black belts were so rare that you would just get so excited just to even see a black belt. And now
Right.
it's not that we're common, but there's a lot more of us. There's a lot more information around. So I kind of was fortunate to get this kind of golden age of experience and knowledge directly from sources of other world champions that like Samir Chantre, Osvaldo Casino. Those are my two. They're the ones that really train me. At the end of the day, those are my two main coaches, professors, instructors, whatever terminology you'd like to use at that point. And they were multi-time world champions when I got into there. So I was the beating material, so to speak, because you know I was a tough
Mhm.
wrestler, so they could really go ham on me. So they did because I helped them get ready, and in turn, they prepared me for all the competitions that I did. And I at blue belt, I didn't lose after that World Masters tournament. I won every single tournament the whole year. Did not take a single loss. Was ranked number one going into the tournament at World Masters. I actually fought a guy from our association for first place. He was
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So they came up to us, and I have Kashino on one side and Milton Bastos. I think that's his name. Please don't beat me up and come to my school if I get it wrong, Milton. um, and they come up and they're like, "Do you guys want to, toss a coin for it, or what do you want to do?" And I was the first one. I was like, let's bang for it. I didn't come all this way just to flip a coin at the very end. You know, like we're
Right.
practitioners for a reason. Let's get down. So we did, and he was actually beating me. It was a tough match, but he was beating me. He out wrestled me, out all the things, and I caught a Kimura on him within the last 45 seconds, and went to sweep him, but the sweep became more of side control, and I finished, and that was how I won a championship. They raised my hand and everything, and we went to the podium. I didn't see my coach or anything like that. And then he came with the purple belt, promoted me on the podium and everything, and it was a great experience. It was weird because I'm
Nice.
so awkward that like when he when he came over, I was like, "What do I do? Do I shake your hand down here? Do I pull you up here?" I didn't know what to do. I had no idea what to do. I was shell shocked. And so he came up, he promoted me, did all the pictures and everything. And then I started teaching kids classes for like little toddlers at that point.
Mhm.
My thing was I'd already had my older daughter in, but I really wanted to get my younger daughter in. She was turning 5, and I really wanted to get them going with something. I wanted to give them tools later on in life, right? So I started coaching the little toddler class, and it went pretty good. And then COVID happened, and
Mm.
COVID changed everything. I tell everybody, purple belt was the hardest time frame for me as a practitioner. A lot of people talk about
Likewise.
blue belt, and all that. So I was like, I didn't get the blue belt too bad. You know, I got the blue belt blues. Sometimes you come in, you get beat up, but purple belt, that's when I went through some real hard times in
Yeah.
jujitsu. I didn't compete a lot. COVID happened. I started drinking because what else was I going to do? I couldn't work. I built my own mats at that point and made a dummy and went out there and did what I could, but really I didn't do much. So when the schools opened again, I was first one in the door, like, let's go back to life.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, somewhere in there, I didn't have the same drive that I had pre-COVID. So when I came back, my focus had changed. I went from, oh, I'm going to compete every month, every single day, to how do I make people better? How do I do this new path better? Because I can
Mm-hmm.
compete. I can go into a competition. I don't care who you are. I don't even look up people. I just walk in. If my jujitsu works, it works. If it doesn't work, well, then I guess you were the better practitioner. But otherwise, I don't look you up on Facebook. I barely look at the brackets just to kind of see like how many fights I might have, but I don't know names unless you're like
Right.
Gordon Ryan or someone up there. I don't know who you are. But coaching, that was different. Now I got to talk to a 5-year-old that doesn't want to be there maybe and convince him that this is not only good for you but fun, something that's going to
Mm-hmm.
benefit you sooner rather than later. Because yes, as an adult, I understand that jujitsu is good for a long term, but as a kid, you don't even know what you're gonna have for breakfast, lunch, dinner. You could change your mind in 5 minutes. You know what I mean? 1 minute you're doing takedowns, and next minute you're running the other side of the gym, and I got to round you up like we do. And so it
Right.
was, how do I take these kids and make them better, which eventually bled into adults and older
Mm-hmm.
kids,
Mm-hmm.
and how do I become a better coach? And it was at that time, I think I was 33, 33, 34, somewhere in that ballpark. I realized I was getting older. Like I knew it before, but at 31, you're still pretty ready to
Pretty
go at
fresh in
all
the game,
times.
yeah.
Yeah, I was great, man. I could go out, drink, get up still in the morning, be like, all right, it's time to roll. And but as I was getting older, I was realizing my recovery time changed. I would roll for 5 rounds and then think about coming to the second class and like, oh man, my body's just not doing what I tell it to do right now.
Right.
And it really it shifted my focus from teaching just kids to teaching everybody, because yes, I still compete, but I can't do that forever. I'm not going to win a world championship at adult level, get these crazy, scholarships and stuff like that, but I can make a major impact in other people's lives on a different
Yeah.
type of scale than that. So I still compete sometimes. I competed at brown belt, master 2, because I was older by then. I was finally able to get into master 2. I took second in that tournament. It was a big tournament too, 68 brown belts, master 2. I couldn't believe there. Yeah. Yep.
Woo.
Yep.
A
It was
lot of rolling.
yeah. Yeah, well, and at that level too, man, like it's only 5 minutes. So or six. It might have been six. But at master 2, you don't get the adult time limits of like 8 minutes. So it changes the pace of the match. It's much more intense out the gate versus like when I go with the competitors in my gym and we throw on 10 minutes, that first 5 minutes, yeah, you're rolling, but you're more feeling each other out, trying to out position. And in the last 5 minutes, you start picking it up because you've made each other tired. Maybe you've stacked them for long enough. There's a lot of situations in there.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point, that time to go moment comes, but it's closer to the end of the match. But when you only have 5 minutes, you only have so much time to work. So you really get down to the nitty gritty as
Mm-hmm.
soon as the match starts. And I barely got through that one. If I'm being totally honest, that was probably one of my worst tournaments I've ever been in. I was sick. I don't tell people that. I don't use it as an excuse and everything like that. But I remember my coach. He's like, "Oh, you cut a lot of weight. You look pretty pale." I was like, "Yeah, man. I lost a lot of weight." I gotta do what I gotta do. I've already spent all this money. We're in Vegas. I took a whole week of vacation to do this, and I'm like, man, I'm not gonna just come here and not go. And so I
Right.
went out there, and yeah, I took second. I remember being in the last match, man. I had a Kimura on this guy, and my hands are noodles. I can't hold on to him, and he ended up getting out, and he beat me by advantages, and it was a tough loss. But at the same time, like, I took second place at World Masters, and after a while, that becomes the mentality. Oh, I only took second, and it's weird to, when you're used to winning things, when you just fall shy. But then the very next day, or when I got back after the vacation, it was back to practice. And that's
Back to
something I start
practice.
preaching. Yeah, I start preaching that to my guys, because like recently we had a competition with them. They had a couple hard losses, and the thing of it is, you're gonna have those. Do you get back up? We all lose.
Right.
Everybody loses. Nobody wins all the
Right.
time. And even Gordon Ryan's lost some here and there. Not recently, but he's lost things. Um, you got to get back up. You got to go again. And that's, with the kids, that's the biggest thing I try to really put in their brain. Yeah, you're going to fail. You're going to get hurt. You're going to do things that are wrong. Do you get back up? Do you keep moving? Do you keep going? Because that's all we can do. And as adults, as an adult, we kind of understand that, but children don't whatsoever. So if I
Right.
can instill those skills on them, that's what the parents are really paying for. Yeah, you want your kid to be tough and all these things, but is your kid going to be successful down the road? Can I give them tools and skills that are going to make them successful as teenagers? When you don't get prom queen, do you keep going? Do you get up? Okay, I lost that one. I'm going to get the next one. All right, that didn't work out this time either. You know what? I'm gonna go anyways, and I got this. I'm going to figure it out. And if you have that mentality, more times than not, you're going to be successful,
Oh yeah.
because
Oh yeah.
you're gonna have that I can mentality. If I can give that to your children, I've successfully done what I've sought out to do. Whether your
Oh
kid knows
yeah.
a scissors sweep or not, if I can get you to have confidence in yourself, I'm successful in what my endeavor initially was.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So
I know I talk a lot.
oh no, you're good. You're good. So personally, when I started teaching, I started with kids class too. So, I love teaching kids class. It taught me more about myself than I did with any adults class I took. So how do you approach teaching kids class? I know, because I have a philosophy that seems to work with me. I'm just curious to see, how your mindset goes when you're teaching a kids class.
It kind of depends on the age. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm teaching little kids, I'm nice but firm. Like, I'm firm in all the kind of classes, because I'm a parent, and a lot of times when you have instructors, they're younger, which is
Mm-hmm.
fine, but you have a different type of interaction with children than a parent has with children, right? So I'm nice, but I'm very firm in what I want from you, and I'm also a firm believer in exercise.
Mm-hmm.
So if things aren't going good, I will exercise with my kids, because I guess I have a lot of philosophies, but I'll try to put it into something a little bit um, tangible. I think about children in the sense that when I teach you, I know you're probably not going to get exactly what I say. I know that's not going to happen, but I do know that you can do it. And if I can grab your attention via different things, the exercises are simply ways to show you how to move your body. You know what I mean? If I can show you how to do a shrimp or a hip escape or whatever you want to call it, that's just one aspect, right? What about jumping, right? Back when
Mm-hmm.
we were younger, we used to ride bikes. We were outside. We played outside all day, right? Now,
All day, sun up, sun down.
right? Kids don't do that anymore. Kids don't do that, right? We've been changed by social media, the internet, whatever have you, whatever philosophy you want to go with on that. Things just aren't the same. We don't put our kids outside. We're fearful of things. We're hyper vigilant. Um, so kids just don't do the things they used to do.
Mm-hmm.
They don't ride bikes. So when I tell you to grab a sleeve and put your foot on it like a bike pedal, that doesn't exist to their mind anymore.
Like
They're like,
what?
"What are you talking about?"
Right.
And to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, because I'm going to be 40 in a couple. I just turned 38 a couple days ago, so
Okay. Happy
I'm getting
birthday.
older. Oh, thank you, I appreciate it. I'm getting older, and the things that were in my childhood just aren't in today's world. So I have to find ways to connect to them in their current world. And there's a few things I go off of, but if I can get their interest at the really young age, I can get them to exercise, and they're going to learn without realizing that they're learning.
Yeah.
Now, once they're a little bit older, I have a different philosophy for them because they're still probably not going to do it exact, but they understand their bodies more, especially if they've been in jiu-jitsu for a few years now. They know the deal. So I have a slight expectation of them to know what's going on. Now, when they're brand new, different story. I still kind of treat them like I do the little kids. Okay, here's how you move your body. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's if you look up, you're gonna go that direction. If you look down, you're gonna go that direction. Little things that the body does that they just don't realize. And then as they get better at that, jujitsu comes more natural to them. But it's about catching their interest, I guess, is a lot of my
Mm-hmm.
philosophy. If I can't capture your interest, and you're not going to be interested every day. So that's another thing too. Is you got to pick your battles. I
Yeah.
can't be hard on you every single day. You're going to get burnt out. But on the days where you finally, there's a moment I tell myself that kids do. There's a few types of looks. One of the looks is that they look at you like they're just lost, nothing's up there. Okay, I can tell you a few things. But when they start understanding and they start looking at you with those eyes of, I'm listening, take your moment, take your chance, and teach them things, and then let them run with it. You
Yeah.
know, I I can't count how many times I've watched at other places where the kid's not doing something right, and the instructor and they mean well, and I know they mean well, but they keep harping on the same thing. And after two times, three times, if they're not getting it, you gotta move on a little bit
Yeah.
because you're going to get frustrated, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's if you get frustrated, I tell people all the time, just walk away for a moment. There's other kids. Go help somebody else real quick, and then come
Right.
back
Right.
when you've gotten over. Because in all honesty, as a coach, that's us. You know, when the kid's not getting it right and we get frustrated, that's our responsibility. That's something that we did to
Mm-hmm.
um to get upset about. You know, it's not necessarily their fault. That's us as a coach not doing what we're supposed to do and then getting frustrated with ourselves because we're not performing the way we expect ourselves to just be able to relay information.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess I don't really have philosophy as much as I have ideas that I string along that vary from kid to kid. Because if you have a kid that's super hyper, you know, you gotta kind of distract them a little bit more like a cat toy. If you have a
Mm-hmm.
kid that's real into it, you got to get down there and be a little harder on them sometimes, you know, because
Right.
they need that. They have that drive already. So you have to push them a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it's less of philosophy and like a series of ideas that I just put across. Because outside of jujitsu, I serve tables. I've served tables for almost 2 decades now. I've trained people. I've been to multiple stores, trained multiple people, and training people at some point taught me that it's all about, can you capture their attention? Can you get them to do it? And then can you take a step back to let them do it?
Yeah.
Because if you
Yeah.
can't take the step back, it's not going to be effective. You know, I can't fight your matches for you when you're a kid. I can,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but I get it's looked down upon.
Right. It's not. It's right. No one's gonna be happy about this.
So
No, I get it, man. I get it. Cause like with me, we we just opened up a new spot. And we had a kid never did jujitsu. This is like his first actual sport. So, I'm like, okay, how can I approach this? Because my instructor, not my instructor, but one of my training partners, his son, he trains with me too. So he was there, but I got this new kid. So I'm like, okay, how can I get him to not only want to do this, but make it feel like he's a natural at this. So, we're going over, basic movements. Some people call them snakes, some people call them shrimps, but, we're just going over the basics. And, I'm like, hey, put your foot here, put your, hands here, yada, yada, yada. And, he was kind of messing up. And then you can kind of see it in his face that he was like, starting to get discouraged. So, I helped him out a little bit more. And he caught on, and I was hyping it up like he just got his black belt. Like, man, you sure you ain't never did this before? He's like, nah. I'm like, you lying to me. I think you did this before. And he's like, no, I didn't. And he got excited. But when we came to like the technique portion, what I like to do is, especially to keep their attention, is I'll show the technique, and then I'll have them teach me the technique.
Mm-hmm.
Like I break it down little by little, I'll like, for example, if we're talking triangle, like, okay, control the arms, foot and the hips, shoot the hips up, blah, blah, blah. I'm doing it step by step. And then I'm like, okay, what, I'll ask one student, like, what do you do first? Like, what do I do first? You're like, you grab the arms. And the other's like, okay, what do I do next? And what, go back and forth. And I found, doing it that way, I'm able to walk away from them. And, if I have to help another student or help another group of people, I can look over like, okay, they still got it. Because I can see them like just going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and, so on and so forth. And doing it like that, that also helped me, understand jujitsu a lot better. Because if I'm teaching just to somebody, and they're like, oh, I can't understand what's going on, I can say, okay, what part are you missing? What part are you're fumbling on? Oh, step number 4. And it's like, oh, boom, boom, boom. Okay, I got you. It's easy to go to straight there. And it seemed to work. So it's a method to my madness that, but like I said, it's been working. So
yeah, that's great.
It's kind of like my take on it, man.
No, I like that. And I like the idea that, because for me, I can kind of do steps, but I don't do well with structure. It sounds really weird, but I can't sit there and be like, okay, here's your triangle, step 4, 5. And I have some steps that I do put in there, but for the most part, a lot of times I get to situations where I show kids something, right? And then they start to do their live rounds. And then they go for the move and it doesn't work, right? And then they're like, oh, why isn't this working, so to speak. At some point we get into that conversation, and I might actually try the idea of putting some steps in there so that they can refer back to the ideas and everything, because there's always the names, put the arm across, grab your shin, grab a few things for like a triangle, but the idea of actually putting it into step number 1, step number 2, I like that. I'll check that out. This is the cool thing about jiu-jitsu is I always learn things.
Right. If you go, on Instagram, I actually posted that video. I'll send you the link to it. But my school name is Ndovu Jiu-Jitsu, Ndovu. I can't believe I can't spell my own school name. But anyway, I have a video on Instagram where I was, we were going over triangles, and I was teaching the kids on how to do that. So it helps me because I know I got bad ADHD. My attention span is non-existent. So doing it that way, it keeps their attention, because notice like if you're talking to a group of kids and you're trying to explain something, at least half of them is looking somewhere else.
Yeah.
Just
what I actually do about that is I'll ask them questions. So I'll get to like a little step, and I'll sit there and I'll be like, all right, I'm here. What do you guys think can happen? And I kind of let them use their imagination, because sometimes they're brand new, they have no idea what's going to happen next. When they're a little more advanced, that changes things. But a lot of times I tend to teach brand new students. Because we split our classes into 2 sides. We have a more advanced side over here, the yellow belts, gray belts, competitors, stuff like that, and then we have a fundamental side. And I tended to be on the fundamental side for a long time because I'm good at talking. Parents feel safe because I'm another parent. There's just something about another parent helping out, teaching kids, that changes the dynamic of the environment that you're in. And so they would have me teach these younger kids. And sorry, I kind of forgot where I was going off a tangent from that. We split them up into 2 groups. I help the fundamentals, and sometimes when I ask them questions, they don't know what's going on. right? They're like, oh, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what's going to happen next. And then my training partner, you know, will help, and he'll be like, oh, well, maybe they do this, you know. And so it kind of teaches them a live version of the move, because a lot of when I teach my morning class, I can't do the whole like, this is just how you get into a triangle. It has to be like, okay, well, we got here from this position. What do you think can happen next?
Mm-hmm.
And it starts to develop the predictability, and then the other partner knows what to do as well for me, because if I don't ask that question, what I've gotten is like, I'll do the triangle, and then the player that's in the triangle just lays on his belly or her belly, you know, and I'm like, you need some posture, you need to get up on your knees, you can't just fall over, you know. So then we start talking about like, okay, I did this triangle. What happens if they put their arm over here and resist? You
Mm-hmm.
know, oh, well, look, now we have a Kimura side that we can go to, or oh, they did let you go here, or we can continue on. And so I start trying to give them like that book where you would read a page and you go, do you go to page 10 or do you go to page 3 next? You know,
Right.
and so I start trying to take them through this book where I'm like, okay, yeah, we have a triangle. Here's how you finish it, but the path along the way is laid with problems. You're not more than likely just going to triangle somebody. How do you get their arm across? Where's your hip posture? Where's all this little stuff? And by asking them these questions as I do the technique, that's how I tend to get their attention, because I kind of put the ball in their court. What do you guys think is going
Mm-hmm.
to happen next? What do you think I'm going to do next? What do you think my training partner is going to do next? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
you were good. That was really close. Oh no, no. But it was a good try. Check this out. This is actually what's going to happen. And that tends to help me teach them a live version of what I'm trying to teach, because the steps that I've done, and that, like I said, I'm going to retry it because I tried it back when I was a purple belt and I was like, oh, this isn't working for me. And I kind of tossed it out the window because I was like, I'll figure out what works for me. But now that I've been doing it for a while, now I'm like, okay, I'm gonna combine the idea of like, okay, step 1, 2, 3, 4, and if it goes from step 4 to this, now we have, yes, the new idea. So it's exciting to talk and learn about uh, different ways to teach.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we can learn a Barambola roll and all the fun things, but at the end of the day, how do I teach it? How do I teach you to do a Barambola roll? You
Right.
know, how do I
Right.
get how do I get little Johnny to start rolling behind people and getting these crazy chokes on the highlight reels? And off on that subject, I get parents that ask me stuff like that, you know, like when are we going to learn the more advanced stuff? And I don't say it a lot like mean or anything like that, but it comes down to, I need your kid to be able to do basic fundamentals first. You
Right.
know, I need your kid to understand how to shrimp under pressure. I need your kid to understand how to keep pushing the elbow without bringing their body to it, maybe, you know, just little
Mm-hmm.
tiny things. And I'd love to teach your kid crazy stuff, but they're going to get smashed by accident because they don't understand the basic concepts behind it. You know,
Right.
you don't understand how to move your body. I can't teach your kid the advanced stuff yet. And
Yeah.
at black belt, you see some of it, but really, you see fundamentals the whole way through.
The
You
whole way
only
through.
see the
Yep.
you only see the high level crazy stuff every now and then it's like, oh, I've never seen that on the live television before. You know, so we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
That's that's I guess my what I do when I teach kids. I ask a lot of questions back. I want to know where your mind is, because if I can tell where your mind's at, I can better help you.
Right.
If I get to know you, I can better help you. Do you like dinosaurs? You know, are you one of the kids that, am I the fastest runner in here? I'm the fastest runner in here. Oh, you're the fastest runner in here. That's great. How many push-ups can you do?
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, you know what I
Keep them
mean?
engaged. Yeah.
Yeah, and the
And
more I
that's
know about you, go for it.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the conversations I had with I guess you want to say he's like a partner. He owns the building. It's called Martial Yard. They got like, different they got kickboxing, boxing, wrestling, stuff like that. And I do the jujitsu course. And the same lady who signed her son up, I guess she had a conversation with him, and she was like, "Oh, I don't like the way he teaches kids class." She didn't come to me and tell me this. She came to tell him, and I was like, "Okay, what did she say? What does she not like, or whatever?" So she's like, "Oh, she said that he was on the mats for a minute, and then next he was playing soccer." And I was like, "Well, if she was." Paying attention, with kids class, you can't do an hour and a half kids class. You're not going to be able to keep their attention for that long. So what I do is, we get the warm-ups, we'll go over, I'll break down one technique for them to do for like 30, 40 minutes. And then for the remaining class, I have them, just let their minds go. They play, they run around. If they want to tussle around, they can, so on and so forth, because I promise you, if I do a whole hour of this class, they're not going to like it.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're not going to like it. So she was like, she told him that. I was like, and I explained to him how I do it. And he was like, I'm not questioning how you do it because I don't do jiu-jitsu, so I don't know how that works. But he said, I do understand teaching kids is not easy. It's not easy. So yeah, that's why I was like, she comes, I even try to get her to engage with it too, so she can kind of see what's going on. Because I do notice the difference if I have a kid there and their parent is kind of like, even if they're not like on the mats, but they're kind of involved, they see the enjoyment that they're getting out of their kids. But if you're tucked off in the corner and you're looking down at your phone, you're not really paying attention to what's going on, and you just look up and say, well, he's not doing what they're doing. They're over here playing. So you get that false perception of what they're doing. But like, no, he's literally over here learning a triangle on his first day of class, and he's doing a phenomenal job. Mm-hmm. And the whole time he has a Kool-Aid smile because he learned something new. So that's just, I don't know. That's just, I guess it just, obviously the good and the bad comes with, come with teaching, but that was just weird to me. I was like, you're not paying attention, and you're not paying attention enough to understand what's going on, or you're not showing any type of engagement in it, but you're quick to say like, oh no, I don't like the way he teaches. But it is what it is,
Yeah. Well, you don't know what you don't know. It's a
right.
fun word that I like to tell parents sometimes, like, hey, I understand that you can see this, and I understand that I'm the one teaching here. There's a reason for that. There's a reason
Mm-hmm.
I teach your child. There's a reason you do not in this case.
Right.
It's not just because I do jiu-jitsu. Like I said, I've been a server for a long time. All I deal with is the public, so I'm very used to how people react, how children react, how a lot of things happen. And when I do get parents that don't like something like that, and I know you're like, try to get her engaged. I've done that too, where I've been like, hey, do you want to come try it too? And the conclusion I eventually got to is you can't please everybody. Not everybody's going to agree with the way you do something.
Right.
I've also been shell shocked before because I had a student, I thought they were doing great. I thought everything was great. Come to find out, I was the reason they eventually quit because I wasn't showing enough attention to their student. And sometimes we get big classes, I'll fully admit it. And, and it's hard to get around to 30 students and be the only one and get them to do it. And we don't, with our school, because we have so many students, we actually have to structure it to where we separate the age groups a lot. Like we have 4 to 7, they go for 40 minutes. We have like 8 to 10, and they go for another like 50 minutes. And then we have 11 to 15 that we do for an hour. So we separate everybody into individual things. So in actuality, we shortened our toddler class because it is so hard to keep their attention for that hour and a half, like trying to keep kids engaged. That's why you have to start doing other things. When I was teaching toddlers class, when I first started, one of the games we played was like sharks and minnows or cats and dogs, or there's lots of names. But what I would do is I wouldn't have them run. I would have like one side would butt scoop. And then I would have the middle kids, your goal is to get behind them and hug them. You know, you would try to basically take the back. And if you can't take the back, then they're still in. And what it created for me was kids that were doing jujitsu without realizing they were doing jujitsu. You know, their whole thing was, oh, I had to butt scoot across the mat to get to the other side. You know, and the middle guys was, I have to stop you. But in all actuality, because I gave them these parameters, where all you can do is butt scoot. That's it. Butt scoot and push away. You can't let them get to your back, you know. And the other people, I would make them, I don't know, bear crawl or army crawl or something, butt scoot as well. And you have to use these tools to move you across the mat, and you have to go catch people like this. And what I found was at the younger kids, it's great because they'll learn everything through games for jujitsu. But parents can't always see that because they're not coaches for multiple kids. All they normally deal with is their own kid, and that's great. But when you have a lot of kids, you have to think of a multitude of things and ways to get them all engaged, not just one kid.
It's the new soccer mom. Like the parents, jiu-jitsu parents are like the new soccer moms. And it's like every time I tell somebody that, I get that same reaction because it's like, damn, that's kind of true. Like, why my son is not starting, or why my son's not doing XYZ. It's like, well, your son is not, he's not there yet. It's not saying that he would never be, but you kind of have to just let them grow. Not every kid is going to be the next Gordon Ryan or Mike Musumeci or anything like that. They just might be that, that one kid that just do it for the love of it. They might not want to compete. I've seen that so many times at competitions where as soon as the match start, the kid's crying because they don't want to be there, but they're trying. They're trying to go for their sweeps and all the stuff that they drilled. And once one thing they go wrong, face turn red, now snotty eyes crying and everything else. And it's like, come on. I was like, it's wild, but yeah, you just, like you said, you can't please everybody. You only can, do what you can, try to get them, like you said, you got to get them to understand that there's a reason why this belt's tied around my waist, and, it's not on you, it's not on you. I'm on the mats, you're not, so on and so forth. So it's like, it's a give and take, when it comes to it. So just, like I said, just kind of have to learn to you have to develop thick skin, because that's not going to be the first and not going to be the last time you're going to hear that. And just, like I said, just keep it moving.
Yeah,
and
especially as a coach.
Yeah,
especially as a coach, you got to develop thick skin too, because I mean, like in my gym, the parents pretty cool. But I've been to some other places, man, where I've seen the instructor in the corner and another parent just up in arms over something. I'm not eavesdropping, but I can tell something's going on, and I've seen it numerous times. And I'm always curious, like, is that the parent doing, the crazy mom thing or crazy dad thing? Is it the academy that I'm at the current moment that I just don't see the underlining tones because I'm a guest? So I really try to take this with a grain of salt, because I've been in numerous situations where the parents in the right, I've seen the instructor messed up somehow. I messed up the other day. We have a rule. We don't let brothers and sisters or brothers and brothers roll during live rounds, right? There's too much competition. They fight, they get upset. I didn't realize these two were brother and sister, and the brother just started demolishing his sister like it was, world finals, and she punched him in the balls right afterwards. And I was like,
oh
"What
no,
are you guys doing? What is happening?" And then the other instructor comes running over. She's like, "Brother and sister, you can't do this." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And, I look over at the parent and I'm like, "I'm sorry. I didn't realize." And the parent was thankfully understanding in this case, because everybody makes mistakes. Nobody's perfect. But I've seen it as well turn bad in that case, where the parent takes that opportunity. And that's another thing I tell people when we do like meetings and stuff like that. Look, people are going to take opportunity and they're going to run with it. If you give them an inch, they're going to try to take that a mile. So when you mess up, own up to it, but don't take it too far, because takers don't stop and givers have a limit. You know what I mean? So if you come across something like that, a lot of times I tell people, hey, be nice, be courteous. At some point, you have to defer and be like, hey, I'm sorry. If you have more problems, we have people at the front desk as well that are like the actual owners of the academy and everything. And I'm like, hey, I don't know what else to tell you. Please take it up with them at this point because I can't tell you any more as a coach other than what I've already done. I'm sorry. I messed up. I don't know how to move forward from here if you can't move forward.
Right.
And that's where it gets to sometimes. So I don't know. Parents are very interesting because even in today's world, a lot of kids are homeschooled, but a lot of kids still go to regular school. Uh, a lot of other people raise our kids, and I don't think that's something we really realize, right? When they go to
Yeah.
school for 8 hours,
Yeah.
somebody else raises your kid. When they go to jujitsu for those couple hours, somebody else is raising your kid at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Our children are literally raised by other people the majority of the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so it's very important to yes pick who teaches your kids, but at the same time, there's a reason that other people teach your kids is because when they get to become adults, unless they literally live with you and you make all the rules and for some reason they never rebel, they have to go out in the real world and function. And that's, like going back to what we were talking about in the beginning with the kids, that's what I aim to give them. I want them to be
Mm-hmm.
high functioning adults that can make choices for themselves, confident choices, and know that they're doing the right thing, at least trying to do the right thing,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and that's the tool. That's what I'm trying to give your kids. Like I said, yes, I want them to learn how to protect themselves. Of course I want that. Of course I want you to go to a competition and place first. But you know what? That medal gets old. The competition goes stale. At some point, you're going to be an adult. You're going to have to make money. You're going to have to figure out how to live, how to wash your dishes, how to do laundry and everything. And in the moments where you don't want to, did I give you the tools that help you perform that? When you
Right.
don't want to fold your laundry, but you have to, because if you don't fold your laundry, stuff's not going to happen. Are you going to take that ability to go, I failed last time, but you know what? I'm going to try it again. Because you never know
Mm-hmm.
what impact you have on somebody's life,
Right.
honestly.
Yeah. You never, yeah, like I saw this quote, man. It says like, you never know who's watching. Just keep going. And that's that prime example. Like, it's as a martial artist, and as well as an instructor, that's the most important thing. Like, yeah, I can teach your kid so many techniques. I can teach them every single technique in the book, but if they're not developing that mind frame to not only learn it but actually grow from it, what are we really teaching? Like, yeah, it's I see it in academies where it's like, drill, 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 drill. But like, what are you actually instilling into the kid? Like, what are you doing to, like you said, impact them off the mats? Because yeah, I didn't until you said it, I never realized that, like, how much we don't teach our kids. Because we work, as adults we work 8 hours. The kids go to school for 6 to 8 hours, and then they have after school activities and so on and so forth. So yeah, I didn't think about that, and it's like, damn, you are totally right. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, my daughter gets home from school, she does her homework, does her chores, whatever, and boom, I'm out the door going to class, or she's going along with me, so she's my student for another 2 hours. Like, I'm dead in between from picking her up, taking her to school to picking her up, going to class, leaving class. Those are my dad moments. Everything else, either she's with a teacher or I'm her teacher. So yeah, it's yeah, damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Never thought about that. Never really thought about that. But as adults, we think about that too. Like, yeah, we don't see our families. We at work 8 hours out the day, so we don't get that kind of interaction. Yeah, so are the kids. Like you said, so are the kids. They're being raised and taught by somebody else. So yeah, that's wild, man. This is a
Yeah.
big boof moment right there.
We're part of the system, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we grew up in that. So to us, it's perfectly normal. But when you really kind of like your steps, right? When you're talking about your
Mm-hmm.
steps and everything with the moves, it's kind of the same thing with that. We just follow the same steps our parents and other teachers left for us, and those are the
Mm-hmm.
steps that we follow. And so we just basically just putting some more steps down for the next generation to go do their thing. And that's, I do have a question actually. I'm always curious from parent coaches and everything. How do you handle being a coach and a parent towards your kids?
You know what? It was funny. I was going to ask you the same question, but it's right. It's weird at first because I have to tell I have to tell my daughter, like, okay, when we're on the mats, I'm not daddy. I'm Sensei Lamar or Sensei Smith or coach, instructor, or whatever. And it's really hard to kind of like pull yourself away from being a dad. And it's that blurred line you're trying to find, because you don't want to be like, you don't want to coddle them every time something goes wrong, but at the same time you still want to make sure that they're okay. So there's been moments where I'm like a little bit hard on my daughter because she's like not getting the technique and she just want to quit. So I'm like, no, you get out there and you do what you do, and then I have to kind of pull her to the side, let her know, like, hey, I'm not mad at you. As your dad, I'm not mad at you. As your dad, I'm proud of you. But as your instructor, I need you to understand this is not playtime. This is, if you want to do this, you got to do this. Because she always tells me, she's like, oh, Daddy, I would really like to try to compete, because she saw me compete. So I had to tell her, like, okay, this is something more advanced that you really have to pay attention in class. Like, I'm not just going to sign you up because you want to get signed up, because I don't want you to get hurt. As your instructor and as your father, I don't want you to get hurt. But if this is what you want to do, you got to take your classes more seriously. You got to do this. You got to do that. Even if I'm not instructing, whoever is instructing, you give them respect. You show them respect, and you act as if I'm teaching you myself. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, it's that blurred line, man, where it's like, she was like, one time she was rolling, and one of the kids, I forgot, he's a boy, so he's a little stronger, and he just muscled out of something, and she kind of face planted a little bit. And she just kind of laid there, and a part of me wanted to run over, like, oh no, my baby. But I'm like, no, you got to get up. You got to keep fighting. And there's nothing, are you hurt? She's like, no, get up and keep going. But yeah, like I said, it's just trying to find that line, man, of being a parent / coach.
Yeah, my older one didn't want to compete at all. So she, a lot of like the jiu-jitsu thing, she didn't want to even do anything. She's one of those people, she likes to sit on her computer and just do that. And so I was like, no, you need to go do something in life, something other than that. And that's another reason I put her in jiu-jitsu. And at first she didn't really want to do it. She didn't want to do anything else. So then I was like, fine, well, if you're not gonna do anything else, you're at least just gonna go to class. Just go to class. But I wasn't her instructor at the time. Somebody else was. And he was an old school, hard-nosed, do not question me type of instructor. It's very difficult. Ran a lot of students and parents off. We'll leave it at that. Just one of those. But the thing of it is I took it as an opportunity, and I told her this too. This is an opportunity for you to learn how to deal with difficult people, because not everybody's agreeable. Not everybody's going to be like, you're going to get a boss at some point in your life.
Yeah, at some point, yeah.
And this is exactly what he's going to be like. And if I can show you what to do, develop some coping mechanisms for yourself, because that's really what it comes down to. We develop coping mechanisms to learn how to deal with things. So at a younger age, I told her, go in there. If things get out of hand, obviously I'll handle things, but they never really got out of hand for her. She got reprimanded a couple times because that's just his personality and whatever, but she learned what to do about it. And now that she's older, she's 13, she's finally thinking about competing after 5 years.
Okay. Yeah.
I never pushed her for it. I was never, in fact, when we were on the mats together these last 3 years, I'll coach you, but I only coach you within reason. Because if I start coaching you and you start going down this path, once I go down this path, I'm an all or nothing person. I don't kind of do things.
Yeah.
I really do things.
Yeah.
So when I put that on you, when you finally feel the weight of actual competition, training, getting ready, having to prep, the mentality of it and everything, understand, I'm going to show you what you need for that. But it's tough, and it's a lot tougher than what you're used to getting from me. So I don't want you to just get burnt out. So just go. I tell people jujitsu is like brushing your teeth. Yeah, you might not want to always do it, but you know what? If you don't brush your teeth, you ain't got no more teeth.
Right.
You know, and that's how I told my kids. Like, look, you're gonna brush. You don't always want to, but you know what's gonna happen if you
Right.
don't. And I've made my kids go, and so they've gone. You know, and when it's time, when they're like sick, I don't make them go. When they've had more than enough, and they're starting to get to where they're like, I don't like this. I'm like, take a break. We'll come back next week. You
Yeah.
know, jujitsu doesn't go anywhere. Jujitsu stays. The only thing that goes are the people.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Jiu-jitsu never went anywhere. You left. Your kid left. Other people left. But jiu-jitsu is going to be there when you get done. When you're
Yep.
ready to come back, we're ready for you. You know, and
Yep.
so I tell my kids, take a break, take a moment, and then come back for it. I tell people
Yeah.
that at my gym too. Like, don't take too much time off,
Mm-hmm.
but take some time off sometimes because our brains, like if you're training 5 days a week, you may get better, but after some point, you're going to start to really focus on specific things, right?
Yeah.
Like your knee cut that you just can't get down. But if you take a couple weeks, your brain starts to put all the synapses together and actually puts the map down so that you can perform these that knee cut that you were looking for better than if
Yeah.
you were just grinding away at it for a while.
And that's
So
that's something I explained to my wife too, because when I started, she would kind of like come to class and my instructor would like, see her still on the sideline. So he just go over there like, okay, you want to try it? And she'd be like, oh no. But eventually she jumped on the mats and she was getting pretty good. And I never, I don't pressure her to do anything. And to the one day she came to me and she was like, I really want to start taking it serious, yada yada yada. And I was like, okay, now fair warning. If we're going to do this, we're going to do this. We're not going to half-ass it. Like, because I take jujitsu very very serious. I'm not like a hard ass, but like it's something that's dear and important to me. I know how much time and sacrifice I put into it. I don't like to just dick around with this. And she's like, okay, yeah, I got it, blah blah blah. But I think when her one of the last times before she took her break, we rolled and we rolled hard because she was getting ready to test for her. I was getting her prepared for her blue belt test, and we went boom. I'm like, we about to roll. We about to do a 10-minute match, and we're gonna do the whole 10 minutes. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, if you tap, the clock stops. If you tap me, the clock stop, and then we're just gonna keep going. This is what you have to do. You have to go, be able to go. And then that's when she realized, she's like, yeah, I wasn't ready as I thought I was. I was like, yeah. I was like, there's a difference between, hubby and instructor, like,
yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, my girl learned that too, actually. I mean, she already knew because she used to tell me, like, we're not going to become a jiu-jitsu family when I first started. Famous last words, of course.
Right. Yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah. So here we are now, and she finally decided to try it because I helped her, and in her family, her weight goes up and down. It's a struggle thing, so she has to deal with that.
Mhm.
And I'm willing to help to some degree, but kind of the same thing. I'm like, hey, yo, there's a difference between me helping you as an instructor, coach, or something like that versus being your man. When I'm your man, I'm going to be a lot nicer. When it's not, and I know you too. And that's the other thing too, is what they can deal with. So when you're being bullshitted, so to speak,
Mhm.
you automatically are like, no, I know what you can do. Stop trying to play me right now. Which
Right.
sometimes frustrates them too, but it is what it is. But she got into jujitsu recently again so that she could start losing weight, because it is a great tool. So long as you exercise, go to class, and don't get hurt, you're gonna get
You
better.
goaded.
Yeah, exactly. And she came for a while and she was doing really good. And then we stopped going recently. Uh, she's gonna get back into it after the new year, but for a while there, life got just crazy, right? And we realized that because if I go there at the 6 o'clock and then I come home and then we got to go again at the 11 because that's the only time that she can go because we got to pick kids up later and stuff. So then I'm there the morning, 11, and then I got to pick the next kid up by 2. I'm getting done by 1, so I'm getting some food, and then I'm going to get the kids, and then my whole day is driving around because I'm out here in Arizona. So if you're ever out in Arizona, you already know all we do out here is drive. Everything is driving out here. So I have to get my kids, and what I found is I can't do my normal tasks. Like I love jujitsu, don't misunderstand me, but I have to get laundry done. I have to do the dishes. I have to pick up the
Yeah.
toys that the kids have left behind. I can't be here all the time. And it got to a point where it was like, well, either A, she doesn't come with me because she takes the kids to school in the morning so I can go teach the class, or B, she has to go by herself and I have to get stuff done on the time that I'm not doing the classes and everything like that. And so it's become a tough situation where it's like I just don't have enough time to comfortably get everything done. Because I mean, I guess it is an excuse. I'm getting older. I just cannot recover
Yeah, I
3-4
get it.
trainings a day and still perform at the house like I'm supposed to.
Right.
Kids are all jumping on me like, Dad, we're ready to go. I'm like, I need to ice my knee. I can't walk right now.
Oh yeah, I get it, man. I get it. It's like there's not enough hours in the day, man, and trying to balance being a dad, being a husband, being an instructor, and whatnot. It's like I'm too many hats. I can't take them off, but at the same
Yeah,
time, it's like you just kind of gotta bite down, grit, and just get it done.
pretty much. So the new year's coming up, and we're gonna readjust. Is basically what's gonna happen. Or
Yeah,
as it
yeah.
was on what is it, BJJ Fanatics, make some micro adjustments.
Yeah, micro adjustments. Yeah.
We're gonna get the new year going and kind of figure out which direction we want to go. Because I mean, I recently I tried to start sticking a flag in the ground to open my own academy and stuff like that. But the place I was going, it's all being developed right now, and they just want too much money for what I need because I love
Mhm.
jujitsu, but I went to this one place, man, and they want like $200,000 for like 1,200 square feet to help build the initial build out of it. I'm just like, I don't know if that's worth my time. So now I'm biding my time because I'm gonna open my own place. That's gonna happen. So at some
Right.
point, I'm gonna have my own spot. But I learned a lot this year through business aspect of it. I can't just put a flag in the ground and be like, "Hey guys, I'm here. I teach jujitsu, and you want to open your doors?" There was so much more that went into it that I had to take a step back and go, "Okay, let's reanalyze life real quick. Where
Yeah.
is my jujitsu journey at? What are my plans even for jujitsu this year?"
Hmm.
Because I competed at my first black belt tournament this year. Um, I took third. I lost to the guy that took first. He's like a 20-year vet. And that's the other thing too, is when you get to black belt everybody, and
Yeah.
you're master 1, master 2, that's great, but you're not playing with 5-year veterans. You're talking about people that were trying to win world masters 10 years ago, or adult worlds 10 years ago, now at adult
Hmm.
masters, world masters, trying to win another medal in their late 30s, early 40s. Who is it? Paulo Meows and all them. They're in the master divisions now. You're
Yeah.
you're you're not getting regular people, so it's crazy because I meet people that have legends from back in the day that I go and roll with them, and people come up to me like, "Oh, you got to roll with so and so," and I'm like, "Yeah, I did." And I kind of know who they are, but the weight of what they've done doesn't hit me at that moment because I compete too.
Yeah. Hmm.
So but other people see it and they're like, that must be so cool. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. Kicked my ass, kind of sucked in that aspect, but it's a great experience to go out there and meet people that pioneered the sport to where it is today.
Yeah. Yeah.
even though I can't understand the full weight of it. It's kind of like your journey. I don't know the full weight of your journey. I don't know what you went through to get where you are now. But I'm
Hmm.
sure that there are some stories in there that you've told people. I'm sure there's stories in there that you've told nobody, you
Hmm.
know? And those all together create where we are at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the craziest thing is now that I'm a black belt, it's actually even more like, what do I do now?
Oh yeah.
What
Yeah.
do I do now?
Yeah.
At purple belt, brown belt, blue belt, what have you. I had the black belt is the goal, winning competitions. You just show up and exercise. At black
Hmm.
belt, I have to choose to exercise with you.
Yeah. It's a whole
And
different
that's
ball game, man. Whole different beast.
yeah, it's hard because like I want to teach the class and then I have to go and I love helping. Don't misunderstand me, but sometimes I don't exercise because I'm helping. And then a couple of weeks have gone by and I realize I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't even really done much other than show and I've done some rounds at the end of the day, but I haven't actually drilled. I haven't done any of the things that we do coming up. And that's where you start seeing a lot of black belts get hurt because they aren't
Yeah.
exercising like they used to. A lot of black belts that I've learned recently go to weightlifting now.
Yeah.
Start weightlifting to compensate for it. I still have yet to go that direction. I don't know, man. We'll see.
Yeah,
We'll
man,
see.
it's definitely trying to find that balance. And like you said, once you get to black belt, it's kind of like, all right, I'm here. Hello, what do I do next? Like, it's like there's no more tests, there's no more belts, there's no more rank. Well, you rank, but that's all come with time. But like,
Yeah, it's
it's
different.
like, okay, what do I do now? Hello, I'm still calling my instructor on a lot of things. Like, hey, man, can you just explain to me X, Y, Z, and blah blah blah.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
hold
It's
on
been
one second.
no, you go do your thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. My other thing that kills me is like people get their belt and they're like, oh, I'm gonna start making money. This is gonna pay my way. And it's a harsh reality to start learning like privates, you don't get privates every day. You know what I mean? People don't pay for privates every day. It's not like you get your black belt and all of a sudden you start making all this money unless you
Yeah,
already
people
had a
flocking
major.
to your door.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't even half the time people don't even notice the name. That was so in Modesto, California. That's where I started, right? We had Samir Chantre and Osvaldo Casino, both world champions, open a school, right? And they the school is successful, but one of the things that they learned really quickly that they referred to me that I've taken to heart is that their name in of itself didn't draw people unless you are already in the community. And people that are
Hmm.
already in the community are a smaller community, right? So your people that tend to pay the bills and stuff like that are your newer people because your older people, there's fewer of them that are like purples, browns, blues. Your white belts coming in, they're the ones that pay the bills, or they're the most plentiful.
Yeah.
They're they're your money maker. Especially like you get high
Hmm.
level competitors, right? I see this all the time, man. I'll go to a gym, and just because I have a black belt, they're like, I don't pay for anything, and I'm like, but you're a business. Like I want to pay you because you're a business, and
Hmm.
that's the hard leap that I see for a lot of people is when you get your black belt, now all of a sudden you got to make it a business or it's just a hobby, right? Because if you're not making money off of it, at the end of the day, you're doing it because you love it, which is what the
Yeah.
majority of us do. The majority of us
Yeah.
just do jujitsu because we love doing jujitsu. But if you're going to make money, there's a lot of steps. There's so much more to the business aspect of it that I didn't realize coming into it this year that I had to really start thinking about that I was being taught. I have some great mentors for not just jujitsu, but the business side of it as well. And your white belts and your kids are how you keep the lights on. Your white belts are how you
Yeah.
keep the lights on. Your kids are how you make your vacation money, so to speak, or your upgrades, whatever it is you're going to do for your business. But you'll have 4 color belts, 4 white belts, right? All the color belts are a different color. You got a brown, purple, blue, maybe, and you might be the black belt on the mat, but you got those 4 white belts.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that pay your bills. They're the ones that are really going to want the privates as it comes along. You might get a color belt that's like, hey, private, but they're going to do that once, twice, maybe they pay for a bundle, and then they're good for a while. So white belts are the bread and butter. So, I'm kind of nice to them. I'm kind of mean to them. I make them feel like they belong.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing with white belts is make them feel like they belong with us. Because when you walk in there and you take that leather belt off to go put a white belt on, it's real easy to forget where we all came from. Everybody remember the anxiety just walking from the car to the door? There were a lot of anxiety. I remember, and I was a wrestler, and I was like, I know what grappling's about. I still had these crazy feelings just going up and being like, hey, I want to try something new. And so when I get these people that are brand new, I'm really about like, here's how we do hip escapes, and I'll hip escape with them, or I'll have one of my higher belts come over and be like, hey, can you take them through the ropes while I do this real quick, and it starts to create that communication, that brother sisterhood that we all have through jiu-jitsu. I can't count how many times I go to a party and I'm all like, oh, I hope I meet somebody that does jiu-jitsu. And
I know, right? Like, please let there be one other person that does jiu-jitsu.
Anybody. Nope.
Anybody.
Never. Oh, I do some taekwondo.
Right. I think there's been a handful of times where I've been places where, like, I have a black belt. I usually have like a whatever rank I am, like a street belt, And I may get somebody say, "Oh, you're blue, you're a purple belt or you're a blue belt in jiu-jitsu," and it's like, "Oh, somebody I can connect with, instant friend."
Yeah, instantly.
It doesn't happen as much as we would like, but
no, not at all. I have a guy that I work with, and he does boxing, MMA, and jiu-jitsu and stuff, and wrestled back in the day. And I brought in a couple of open mats, play around with them, because when I go to work, nobody has any idea the depth of what I do. They know that I'm pretty decent at what I do. But regular people, if you don't train boxing, Muay Thai, or some sort of martial arts, you have no idea. None. What could possibly happen to you. So it's always interesting when I meet somebody that does MMA, that does jiu-jitsu or wrestle or box or Muay Thai. I love all those type of things because they're pressure tested, right? If it's not pressure tested, I struggle to believe in it initially. But because we pressure test everything, I brought him to some open mats, and the first thing I do is I keep myself safe. A lot of times people are always like, well, you must kick people's ass. I'm like, well, actually, a lot of times if you're new, I'm probably going to be like this a lot of times to protect my face and my head, because you're probably going to try to accidentally elbow me or kick me in the face. So a lot of times I'm actually, yes, I'm rolling and I'm doing things, but a lot of what I do is I protect myself. And once you start hitting blue belts, purple belts and stuff, the game opens up, but when I got white belts, man, I'm protect my knees. You never know when someone's seen a heel hook on a UFC and they walk into your gym and all of a sudden they get a hold of a foot and they're just like, oh, look, I saw this on TV.
It just full sends it, and now I'm out for a couple years because my knee is fucking shattered. Yeah,
absolutely. Man. So when I meet new people, it's almost like a street fight. I'm not in it. I'm not here to just choke you out or hurt you or smash you. 90% of the time, I'm just trying to keep myself safe and keep you safe on top of it, because you don't know what you don't know. And you might turn the wrong way, and I have to know that you're turning the wrong way. I have to know that my knee is going the wrong way, and you shouldn't be doing that. And I'm going to get out of it, and then I'm going to talk to you about it. But I have to make sure that I have all those things handled for your sake as a white belt. So a lot of what I do is I'm making sure, and the other, I always roll them first when they're brand new too, because I have to establish, what are you like? We talked about it with the kids. I'm all about the mind. I need to know what you're like. Are you going to come out here and just try to hurt people? Do I have to talk to you about that? Are you not going hard enough at all? You just a limp noodle and you just kind of let people do whatever they want to you. Okay, well, this is a lot like rolling with your cousins or your brother, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to assess who you are so that I can figure out how to best help you. And
Right.
that's the biggest thing, even with color belts. First roll. I'm the first one. When you walk in that doors, you will come with me first and I'll figure it out. If you beat me because you're a high level brown belt, great. I can tell you where your game goes from there.
Mm-hmm.
I can help you because I see your plays. But if I don't roll with you and I sit on the outside, I'll have a observation, but I don't actually feel you. When we do jujitsu, if you and I were to roll, it's a conversation between us. We're
Yeah.
exchanging a conversation,
Mm-hmm.
but it's hard to have a conversation if we're not the two in it. At that point, we're spectators. And
Mm-hmm.
you ever watch somebody play a video game, GTA or something like that, and in the back of your head, you're like, I play better than that. I play better than that. And you go to play it, and you're like, thud dead within 5 minutes or something like that.
Like, dude, I suck.
Yeah. That's the way I kind of view it. When you sit outside and you don't actually roll with your students or stuff like that, yeah, you're going to know things, but you're not going to have the intimate knowledge that I have with my students because I'm in the grit with them, because I'm down there rolling with them. I'm the first one. I'll be the last one if you want. I will roll every single round with you if you need,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm here to make you better. But it's hard for me to do that if I don't know who you are.
Exactly. No, I get it. I definitely get it. I mean, well spoken, man. And I can't, there's nothing else I can add to that you haven't already said. But yeah, it's definitely a level that comes with, there's a level of pressure that comes with, being a black belt or, just being a high level brown belt. It's still, it starts to tack on. And then, yeah, once you hit black, it's just like it ramps up, 100%. But you just kind of have to roll with the punches, man, and get out there and do what you got to do, right?
That's right. Keep myself safe, man. That's the big thing
Yeah,
I
and keep
tell
yourself
everybody.
safe. Keep
Keep
yourself
yourself
safe.
safe.
Yep.
Tap early. Is I
Tap
go to
early,
like
tap often.
yeah, and like one of my favorite things to do actually is to go to open mats where I don't know anybody whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Because like when I teach and I'm the instructor and you see that black belt, it doesn't matter. You could tell yourself you're blue in the face. The black belt doesn't matter. But people are visual creatures, and as soon as you see that black belt tied around my waist, you're automatically going to give me a different type of respect. Automatically going to happen, right? But when I go to like open mats and we're a no-gi and I don't have my rank going and everything like that, I get treated just like everybody else. And that's
Yeah.
when it's really like it's nice because all of a sudden they're not like, oh, I let go, I lost because he's a black belt. Oh, it's okay. I don't really have to try. He's a black belt. Now these guys have no idea. So when they start, losing, getting a little deeper into the waters or something, all of a sudden they're trying everything they can. And I really at that moment have to know what I'm doing, because I get treated like everybody else gets treated finally. And so
Yeah.
that's probably one
Yeah.
of my favorite things for jujitsu is just going to open mats where you don't know me, keep myself safe, tap early if I get caught, or if I get a submission, go slow. I don't go to places and rip things either. I'm not here to end your career because I have an ego. I'm here to get better. Sometimes, man, it's hard to get better when everybody knows you and you're not training with the cream of the crop, so to speak. Because we have that at my school. We have professional athletes at my academy, but they're always at the 11 or the night class. And as a parent, sometimes, man, I got to go feed my kids. I ain't got time to train at night. My kids have been
It's
hungry. They've been
necessary.
here for for three
And they've been
hours.
here about 3 hours and they ready to go. And as bad as you want to stay, it's like, no, I gotta go to them, man. I get it. I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah, I got to do what I got to do. So the open mats, they're the fun ones, and I tell people this too. Like, unless you really know the owners and instructors, cover yourself. Go get some spats. Go get a long sleeve rash guard because at the end of the day, people talk about hygiene and stuff like that. You're responsible for your own hygiene. So if you go in and their mats are dirty, yes, that's their fault. But you're the one that has to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
You go home with that skin infection. You go home with something amiss. I tell everybody, if you go someplace you don't know, cover yourself. Get a long sleeve rash guard. Get some spats. Get some shorts. Cover yourself. Keep yourself clean, and then take a shower afterwards.
Right,
Take a shower
immediately.
before, preferably, but
before and after, right?
yeah, but it's a thing that people don't talk about. Is hygiene. We talk about smelly gis and everything, and yeah, that's of course the thing, but your gi covers you at least.
Yeah.
When you start talking about no gi, and I see people like shirtless slipping
Ugh.
across the mat.
Ugh.
I get it. You're cool. You do your thing. I understand.
Yeah, you got muscles, man. Put a rash guard on.
Yeah. At the end of the day, though, you're literally mopping up all the stuff into your skin and leaving your own bacteria all over the mat, which has enough. But then you think about it, and people get spider bites. That's my favorite thing that I hear from people. Oh, I got the spider bite. Well, y'all don't have the same spider all living in the same house. What's going on here? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Something else is going on. So either A, you guys aren't taking care of yourselves after practice, or the mats aren't being dealt with. There's a multitude of things that I could bring up, but you don't know when you go to other people's places. So just keep yourself safe. Wear the rash guard. Yes, you have muscles, but wear the rash guard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Jacob, man. We gotta wrap this up. We have a staple here that we ask everybody that comes on the show, man. Past or present, who would you love to get a chance to roll with? Your top 3 people.
Oh man. You know what? I'll put Gordon Ryan out there just because it'd be always interesting to face the man that's just leading the way in no-gi right now. Like, hands down, that guy's doing what he's doing right now. So he's just somebody I'd love to feel. I'd like to actually go back and I forget his name right now. I'm not the greatest names, but he's the one that brought jiu-jitsu to Brazil, right? I forget his name right now. I could look it up, but I'd love to roll with him. The guy that taught the Gracies jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. I would love to see like what jiu-jitsu was like.
Why is this name?
Yeah. We all should know it. But
I'm looking right at his face right now. Is it Kato? Is it Kato? What's his name?
Yeah, and I'm really sorry if I offended anybody because I don't know.
I'm sorry. Yeah. We should know this.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, I'll do my history lesson after this, but
I promise.
Yeah, I'd love to roll with them to see like the evolution of it. Yes, I'd love to like roll with him and then Gordon Ryan or vice versa. Like how vastly different is jiu-jitsu from where we talk about where it came from Japan over to where it's gotten now with the big lights and everything like that. And then the third person, man, that's a hard one. I can always come up with 2. I guess you know what? I'd love to roll with an Eddie Bravo too. A young Eddie Bravo. Just the difference in his style versus all the styles that came out, especially when it was pioneered and everything, would be so interesting to just feel in its natural area where it came from. Its own habitat, so to speak.
Yeah.
I would love to roll with those 3 people, honestly. Gordon Ryan, I mean, if you want to pay me, of course, love to make some money, but it'll be over pretty quick for me. So,
yeah, definitely. All right, Jacob, man. Unless you got any other questions for me, man, let the people know what you got coming up, man. Shout out to your school. The floor is all yours.
Yeah, we're closed right now. We'll have the new year coming up. I don't got too much left to talk about. You're in the Goodyear area, the Phoenix area. Come check us out. Drop in, hit me up. I'm early in the mornings. Bring your kids to class if you're on family vacation. We got all sorts of classes from 4 o'clock on. and we'll see what the competition year brings us. I'll be at World Masters this year. I skipped it this last year, but I'll be there. We'll see what we can get our hands on this year and everything like that. So that's pretty much all I got. Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure. I had no idea how this was all going to go. I've never done anything like this, so thank you very much for having me on your show.
Oh man, not a problem, man. The pleasure's all mine, man. Great conversation, and I wish everything the best for you, sir.
Likewise, hit me up if you guys ever want to have me back. It was great fun, so I'd love to come
Oh,
back.
most
And we can chit chat
definitely,
again.
most definitely. Everybody, let you know, man. Hey, if you want somebody who's on your show, I'll come back. Hey, look, I invite everybody. I don't care if we talk once, twice, 4 times, man. If you want to be on the show, you're always welcome.
Awesome, that sounds great. And I'll hit you up if I'm ever in your area and everything like that. Come check out your academy, school, and all the fun things, and learn from you and everything. I love learning, love jujitsu. So I hope we meet up in real life sometime.
It's a plan, man. I plan on trying to meet everybody I was on the show with. So we'll make it happen one way or another.
Awesome, Joe. Well, you take care of yourself, and I'll talk to you later.
All right, man. That's the end of today's episode. I would like to thank Jacob one more time for coming on and bless us with his jiu-jitsu knowledge. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please go and follow our Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to stay up to date on all future episodes. This has been Talk Your Jits podcast. Keep rolling, keep grinding, and remember, long live jiu-jitsu. Have a great day.